I'll play the clip in just a moment. It's been 3 weeks now that the neocons and the kosher conservatives have been melting down, crying on a daily basis about Tucker Carlson interviewing right-wing Generation Z streamer Nick Fuentes on his podcast, who notably is not a big fan of Israel. And they are very upset that nobody cares, and they've been hoping that President Trump would hear their cries and denounce Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes to try to give the neocons, a hand up since paleoconservatism is rising. And President Trump was asked about the interview last night, and this was his response.
Friendly interview with anti-Semite Nick Fuentes. Tucker Carlson. What role do you think Tucker Carlson should play in the Republican Party and the conservative movement going forward?
Well, I found him to be good. I mean, he said good things about me over the years. I think he's good. We've had some good interviews. I did an interview with him. We had 300 million hits. You know that. Look, I can't tell him. Will you let me finish my statement? You are the worst.
So she was bickering there. But what about Nick Fuentes?
You're with Bloomberg, right? You are the worst. I don't know why they even have you. We've had some great interviews with Tucker Carlson, but you can't tell him who to interview. I mean, if he wants to interview Nick Fuentes, I don't know much about him, but if he wants to do it, get the word out. Let him, people have to decide. Ultimately, people have to decide.
Yeah, the audience will decide. People will decide whether or not they want to watch the podcast or not.
The mayor of New York, I will say, would like to meet with us. And
Perfect political pivot right there. But they were relentless and wouldn't give up. And one of them pressed Trump on having dinner with Nick Fuentes at Mar-a-Lago a few years ago, which he did. But the media is trying to make it seem like President Trump invited him as a guest, when the reality is, and this was known at the time, but you're never going to hear the whole truth from the liberal media or from the kosher conservatives, from the neocons who peddle the same lies. President Trump, as he will say here in a moment, had no idea who Nick Fuentes was. He had dinner with Kanye West, who brought some friends, and one of those friends was Nick Fuentes. So it wasn't like President Trump was a fan of his and invited him over to Mar-a-Lago.
Dinner with Nick Fuentes.
You had dinner with Nick Fuentes.
Mar-a-Lago a few years ago. What role should he play in the conservative movement?
well, I didn't know he was coming, and he was with, as you know, somebody, Kanye. And Kanye asked if he could have dinner, and he brought Nick. I didn't know Nick at the time. And he did. He came, and along with a few other people. He brought a few people with him. Meeting people, talking to people, like for somebody like Tucker, that's what they do. People are controversial. Some are, some aren't. I'm not controversial, so I like it that way. Okay.
This may very well cause Mark Levin to have a heart attack, because notice he didn't disavow Fuentes and didn't call him names, didn't call him the big A word, an anti-Semite. And President Trump is saying that Congress should finally, once and for all, release the Epstein files. Now, we all know he's been really weird about this, and I think the reason for that is twofold. One, certain foreign countries' influence is pressing him about not releasing, threatening him to not release those files. And also, there are probably some friends of his in there that are going to get embarrassed, that are close to Epstein. He was at parties with Epstein, but none of the victims actually accused President Trump of ever doing anything wrong. But just by that association, he just wants this story to go away. Of course, during the Biden administration, they had full access to all of these files, the Democrats did, and they didn't release them, didn't concern them one bit. But just like when President Trump issued the warning not to take Tylenol when women are pregnant because it may cause autism, as numerous studies, universities, and I believe even the Tylenol manufacturer themselves have admitted, then the Democrats, the liberal lunatics, do the exact opposite. And we saw those videos of a bunch of pregnant women making TikTok videos, then showing themselves popping the Tylenol pills, because they will do literally the exact opposite of whatever President Trump recommends. Stay tuned, because there's plenty more to get into in this video. It's going to be another banger, as the kids say. But subscribe to my channel if you're new here and check back on a regular basis. And this is the last week to order the Trump Claus knit sweaters. These are custom made These are not screen printed like most t-shirts. This has the Trump clause woven into the sweater itself. So get those orders in today at markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out. Back when we were mostly a sane society before the liberal pandemic struck, before the woke mind virus was unleashed on society, about 10 years ago in 2015, people could interview controversial people to try to figure out what it is that they believe and why so many people actually like them. And David Duke sat down with C-SPAN's Book TV back in 1999, where they gave him a very friendly interview to literally promote his autobiography, his book, My Awakening, which Amazon banned about 5 years ago. No mainstream conservatives dare to mention that, though, because they don't want to appear to be, supporting David Duke by pointing out that Amazon is literally banning books, several of his books, by the way. But that's where we were. But now when Nick Fuentes sits down with Tucker Carlson, because Tucker wants to know why this kid's so popular amongst Gen Z and others, now he has been targeted for cancellation in an endless campaign going on now into week number 4. The kosher conservatives kvetching finally did get Tucker Carlson to lose a couple sponsors. But of course, they want him dropped from the Turning Point conference in December, their big America Fest, where he is the keynote speaker. That then will be seen as a victory, a major scalp, and send a message to anyone not to dare rub elbows with anybody who dares disagree with anything that the Israeli government does or question the Jewish lobby. But this very small but highly dedicated and highly organized and highly funded clique, like the Mark Levins and Dinesh D'Souza's and the Laura Loomers who have been complaining about Tucker Carlson nonstop, are trying to make it seem as if he is the one who is fractured the Republican Party. He's the one who's causing a civil war in MAGA. And because the Zionists and the neocons engage in cancel culture while claiming to be for free speech, now they are going after Tucker Carlson's family, including his brother and his son. Here is a supposed journalist who said, "Today we learned that Tucker Carlson's brother idolizes Nick Fuentes because he has retweeted some of Nick's clips. Racism and anti-Semitism is a Carlson family trait. Is Tucker's son Buckley, who serves as J.D. Vance's top aide, also a vile bigot? America deserves to know how deep the Carlson's family ethnic and religious hatred runs," and posted his photo there. J.D. Vance quickly came to the kid's defense, saying Sloan Rockmuth is a supposed journalist who has decided to obsessively attack a staffer in his 20s because she doesn't like the views of his father. Every time I see a public attack on Buckley, it's a complete lie. And yes, I notice every person with an agenda who unfairly attacks a good guy who does a great job for me. But a certain group of people seem to always like playing the victim, and so that then got responses like this. Vance finally speaks on the Fuentes controversy by attacking a woman who has fewer than 50,000 followers. Oh no! Sounds like she's just an ordinary private citizen. No, she's a public figure. 50,000 followers is actually a pretty sizable following. Oh, she has an Israeli flag in her bio and the most Jewish-sounding name on the internet. Yes, that's why J.D. Vance is attacking her. She's the victim. When, again, she's basically doxing and harassing Tucker Carlson's 20-something-year-old son because his father interviewed someone on a podcast almost a month ago. Tucker Carlson also has a brother named Buckley, not to be confused with the son. They were both named after like a great-great-grandfather. So this is Buckley Carlson, the brother, not the son, who responded to a meme showing Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, Laura Loomer, and Dave Rubin laughing with the caption that says, "And then we said America first," asking why shouldn't they be compelled, like AIPAC should be, to register as foreign lobbyists. To which then Laura Loomer had a conniption fit, responding that Tucker Carlson's brother falsely is accusing me of being an Israeli agent. Tucker Carlson and everyone attached to his poisonous DNA is a cancer to the GOP. Well, this little clique hasn't been able to do much to Tucker other than cost him a few sponsors. They did claim a scalp from another podcaster who had Nick Fuentes on her show a couple weeks ago, which went pretty much unnoticed, but a certain group of people just don't stop complaining about things. And so now actress Dasha Nekrasova, who is in Secession, like a HBO series about power struggles with some rich family or something, and I think in some other movies. She's been dropped by her talent agency, and I believe had an offer she was going to act in a new movie. That has also been withdrawn. And every day, Megyn Kelly is starting to sound more and more like us. Her Israel fatigue is clearly off the charts. This is what she had to say to Mark Levin.
So just put a lid on it, Mark Levin, because I guarantee you the wrong people listen to that. And
by labeling Tucker, a dangerous anti-Semite is what she's getting at.
We could have another powder keg on our hands, and you don't want that. You don't want that on your conscience. Just have a debate like a man on principle. And why don't you show up at the Turning Point event and debate him? Just debate him. That would be so good for this conservative movement you claim to love so much. You know who's at the Turning Point events? Future conservatives and current conservatives. Young people.
In case you haven't heard, Mark Levin was offered to debate Tucker at the big Turning Point event, America Fest in December, and he won't do it. He refuses. So now they are coming after Megyn Kelly, and the Babylon Bee is trying to do it under the guise of satire and comedy, but I don't quite get what the joke is here. They posted this saying Megyn Kelly gets rid of old pager just to be safe, referencing how Israel put hidden explosives in tons of pagers and then blew them up for alleged Hamas members. And then it goes on to say that Miss Kelly has no fear that she's in any danger from platforming anti-Semites because she has Tucker Carlson on her show. But out of an abundance of caution, this is a fake quote from her producer, we've advised her to throw away her pager. Oh. And so I don't quite get, we get what their point is. Obviously, they're trying to smear her as an anti-Semite, as, a Hamas sympathizer. And so after Megyn pushed back on this, then Seth Dillon, I believe the big boss over there at the Babylon Bee, who's Jewish, then deleted this article and for days pretended it didn't exist, just pretended they never said this. Because the Overton window has moved so far over the last few years because of the ethnic cleansing in Gaza and TikTok being the first big platform to actually allow Israel criticism without just blanketly banning people for the most mild criticism, and Elon buying Twitter, which I still refuse to call X, and also allowing criticism of Ben Shapiro's favorite country. A lot of people are noticing a lot of weird things about certain influence that certain country has over America. And we're just seeing weird things like former mayor of New York, or the current mayor of New York, I guess, Eric Adams, who is not running for re-election. He lost the bid to the communist Muslim immigrant, Mamdani. He's over in Israel right now, and he just posted this ridiculous photo, which Jesus said in the Bible specifically not to do. Remember, don't go out and pray in public like the hypocrites just to show off, which is exactly what most top politicians in America do. They have to go over there and virtue signal to the wall as if God is going to hear their prayers, better, more clearly, because they travel halfway around the world and said the prayer in front of a wall as part of a photo op. And then this is what he had to say at that photo op.
Male T here in Israel, and as I finish, I wanted to come back here to Israel.
As he finishes his term.
And let you know that I serve you as the mayor.
He serves a foreign country as the mayor of New York. So he traveled half around the world, not to just a Jewish synagogue, not to just some kosher deli in New York City. he went to a foreign country and said he serves them. Stay tuned because there's still a little bit more we got to get into. See, this is why I told you if you're new here, you got to subscribe to my channel because I think it's pretty clear you're not going to get independent and politically incorrect analysis like this anywhere else. And because so many Americans are tired of giving billions of dollars a year in our tax dollars to Israel, which we've done for just generations, now they want to just do one more deal. Just one more deal, and then they'll stop getting aid from us, they say. A 20-year deal. They're seeking a 20-year military aid deal. But it's for our benefit. It's to help put America first. Things are so weird that I have to tell you that this is not a parody tweet. This is a real post from Ted Cruz. This is part of that little neocon clique that he posted on Independence Day on the 4th of July. Saying happy 4th of July. Today is also the 47th anniversary of the daring Entebbe raid. I was only 5 years old at the time. I remember being inspired by the amazing courage of the idea of the Israeli Defense Force team that rescued the hostages and killed the terrorists. I thought that's very Texan foreign policy. So Ted Cruz marking some event over in Israel when they saved some people 47 years ago in the same breath as celebrating America's independence. Could you at least focus on America on Independence Day, sir? Tucker recently tried to warn these people, I think this is from Friday, about how they are their own worst enemy. They are the worst representatives of the cause that they are fighting for. The best thing that they could do would literally just be to shut their mouths. They're like in quicksand. Every time they move, every time they talk, there are less people who support Israel, okay? So here is Tucker Carlson, like trying to get through to them.
I really care so much about this thing, and you better care about it too, or else I'm going to attack you and deplatform you. It doesn't work. It's illegitimate, actually. And if you keep it up, you're flirting with, real backlash, like a real one. Not Nick Fuentes, like a real one. So cool it.
A real backlash like actual anti-Semitism. A real backlash like some young man in Generation Z actually admiring Adolf Hitler because he is the symbol of opposing Jewish influence and standing up for white people. And so the powers that be aren't quite sure how to deal with this other than just screaming that people are anti-Semites and calling them neo-Nazis. So they pulled a new trick out of their hat, claiming that Hitler's DNA shows that he most likely had a micro-PP caused by a rare genetic syndrome and only one ball, which is, I think, a rumor that had been spread around for many, many years. Some of the rumors also said that he was gay, and in this article they say, oh, well, this is why he must have never had any relationships with any women. He had a relationship with Ava Braun for like 15 years, okay? How do we stop so many people from admiring Hitler these days? I know. We'll say that he has a micro-weenie and that he was gay. So we're obviously in some very strange times, and we're not in Kansas anymore. And time is running out to order your Trump Claus knit sweater, by the way. I know I am the king of transitions into the plug. But you got to order them by this Friday in order to get them in, because then the cutoff is going to happen. Because I got to get them all in, and then they'll be knitted up. So these are not printed, it's knitted into the yarn, and these are custom order. Got to get your orders in ASAP, so head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.